Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here. Dude, I said it's alright, don't worry about it.
Alright, if you're sure you want to go solo on this one, that's fine with me. More time to research the next vid anyway.
Yeah, so today's gonna be a little bit of a different video. It's definitely gonna hit kinda different. So, as someone who's talked a lot about Japan, who's taught a lot about Japanese culture, US-Japan relations, and all these other things, my mind's been kind of abuzz about a video idea for a while, ever since hearing about this whole idea of Japan opening up in June, again to tourists, for the first time in 2 years. And I'm someone who definitely, absolutely, wanted to get back to Japan as soon as possible. I know some of you have seen in some of my other videos that I actually kind of had plans to go over. I wanted to try to network with people, maybe actually move over there, advance my career, come up with some new ideas. So trust me when I say I'm definitely one of those people who really wants Japan to open up ASAP. But here's kind of the thing. I don't think it's a good idea for literally anyone to go to Japan right now. At least not yet. That is the caveat after all. But there's just been a lot going on in my head thinking about the idea of going in June, especially seeing some of the articles I've seen, hearing some of the things that I've heard from friends not only here but also overseas, and I really felt compelled to make this particular video to maybe warn some of you who look at Japan with rose-colored glasses like I super used to and still kind of do to a degree even to this day, and kind of give you an idea of maybe why going to Japan, at least right now, is probably a really bad idea. So Japan's talking about opening up in June of 2022, which is going to be right when summer starts to get really hot. Here's the thing about summer in Japan. It's awful. It super sucks. From June till like mid to late September, it kind of depends on where you are in Japan, of course, the heat and the humidity is freaking wretched. If this is something you're not used to, if not having centralized heating and cooling is something you're not used to, do not go in June. Go in fall. I'm gonna put this caveat out here, by the way. Despite what I may say about why going to Japan is a bad idea right now, I will have the caveat of fall is probably going to be a better idea. Fall, winter, something along those lines. That seems to be the universal, probably a better idea. You know, it's kind of funny too, because the last time I actually did go to Japan was actually in August of 2019. And I remembered very quickly why it was a bad idea to be in Japan in August. I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard, culturally speaking, from a couple people that August is known as the month of death. There's a lot of reasons for that, one of which is Obon, when the dead come back to hang out with the family for like 2 weeks, something like that. But the other reason why August is known as the month of the dead is that's when people die of heat stroke. Particularly older people die of heat stroke. Like I said before, there is no centralized heating and cooling. None. Absolutely none. If you're staying in a hotel, yeah, but I mean, if you're going anywhere else, don't expect it. You'll be lucky if you're gonna have one room with a cooler or like an AC unit, like one of those box units. All right, so let me get into kind of the other sort of practical reason why I don't think it's a good idea to go back right now. And the reason for that is because everything is going to be tour groups. They are highly structured, highly formulated tour groups. And now, I know there are a lot of people out there who are completely fine with tour groups. If you like tour groups, fine. I don't recommend them. I don't recommend them for Japan. I probably wouldn't recommend them for literally anywhere. And the reason why is because you have no control. You have no control whatsoever. And right now, you're going to have even less control of what you get to do because of these experimental tours. Which, by the way, I am still trying to check my sources, but at time of recording this, I believe that only 50 people are going to be allowed on these tours at like any one given time. There's not going to be a lot of foreigners able to go in to actually do this anyway. So, kind of a side tangent, if you got kind of starry-eyed about the idea of Japan opening up in June, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go in June. I don't know about that one. I really don't know about that one, because there may be a very limited amount of people going in. But basically, the bottom line that I'm trying to give you all is that you're not going to have any freedom to see what you want. Now more than ever, with these controlled tours, you're not going to be able to see anything that you may want to. You're going to be taken from one major location to another major location. Ideally, it's probably going to be I've seen a lot of tour guides go from like Hokkaido or maybe Aomori in kind of like the northern part of Honshu, and then make your way to Osaka and hit one big city every day, that's not enough time. I promise you, it is not enough time to really take it in. My suggestion for anyone, I've said this forever, anyone who wants to go to Japan to visit and actually see the real Japan, pick one place you want to go and look for all the different little things. Like if you want to go to Tokyo, there's plenty of things to do in Tokyo. If you want to go to Osaka, there's a lot of things. Don't do this thing where you're going from one point to another in a drastically different part of the country, because you're not going to absorb everything. In fact, if anything, you might find it to be kind of boring. Because here's the thing, I've actually heard about a lot of tourists who went to Kyoto before all this happened, and people got burned out really quick. Because if you go into the heart of Japan, where it's just temples and shrines everywhere, unless you have a context of the importance of these individual shrines or these individual temples, you're gonna get burned out super quick because it's the same thing all the time. Finally, about this whole thing, you're gonna be watched incessantly. The whole idea behind these package tour groups that are being promoted right now for a limited amount of tourists to actually come back into Japan, they're test tours, and you're gonna be watched. The whole idea behind these is that Japan's government is trying to say, okay, we'll let some of you in, but not only do we need to be on our best behavior, which I know there are going to be plenty of foreigners who go over to Japan and completely cock it up. I know that that's going to happen. We've seen it before. Boy, have we seen it before. And I'm terrified of that happening again and ruining everything. I can't stress this enough, everyone. You're not gonna have any control over what you get to do. If there's a restaurant way down the way that you wanna go check out because it looks really cool, you're not gonna be able to go. The tour guide is gonna say, we're going here, you are going to go here, we're going to go to these shops, this restaurant, this location, that location, and you have no freedom. I call these postcard experiences. And the reason I call them that is because you could basically get the same feel, the same vibe from looking up at a picture of a postcard. Everywhere you go, it's going to be postcard images. And while on the surface, it's like, oh, cool, I get to actually be there. You just get to look. That's it. Not really a lot of interaction. You just look. You might be able to go to a shrine and go to a Museum and wash your hands before you go into shrine. Little things like that. Maybe there's a couple of really, really cute gift shops that you go into, but you have no control of exploration. And I know I've taken up all this time talking about this, but I gotta stress it super hard. You're not gonna have a lot of control. Trust me, you're not gonna have a lot of control. Alright, so I'm gonna have to put on my tinfoil hat a little bit here because I'm gonna speculate on a couple of things, and this is based off of some of the friends that I have in Japan right now who have been feeding me information. So, it's just rumor right now. I don't know if it's 100% true, but at the time of recording, yet again, I believe that when it comes to these package tour guides that the government is opening up for a limited amount of people to, there are actually cities that can opt out of this. So, you may be thinking, oh, well, I want to go to such and such city because it's finally open and available. You might not have that opportunity because of government manipulation. Whether that be Japan's federal government or prefectural government. In the article that I read through this, I think it was like Osaka and Tokyo theoretically opted out for this tourism package. Now, those are two huge cities that really would generate a lot of revenue from tourism, so I don't think maybe those are going to be that, but I can't imagine how much of a pickle that's going to put a lot of people into who actually want to go out to certain cities and they're completely opt out. And you're not gonna be able to see them. And this is the point where I really gotta put my tinfoil hat on. I saw a couple articles, and this is confirmed by a couple of my other friends, like I said, where only the older travel agencies are going to benefit from this action from the centralized government in Japan. It's not that a whole bunch of packages are gonna be opened up. There are designated agencies from the government who are being allowed to open up and have tourism. Now, some people theorize that these are companies that have a huge connection to the government, who subsidize them, who support them, and there's some talk of market manipulation. There is some talk that the central government is playing to their greater supporters and not playing on an even field. But it's all gonna get funneled down into these handful of agencies that have a really big in with the government. Now, I don't know if that's true. These are things that I've heard, but I've heard them from a lot of places. And I guess I'm starting to get into a little bit of a personal space here when it comes to these reasonings, but one of the big reasons, and I've really mulled over this because I wasn't sure if I want to talk about this, but I think that I do. I don't think people's hearts are ready in Japan. That is not to say that I think the entire country doesn't want tourism to come back. I know that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of struggling shops and businesses who desperately would like tourism to open back up. I know that this is not a majority. But when Kishida announced the June reopening of Japan, more than 65 respondents from an NHK poll said that the current border measures needed to be held in place or strengthened. Now, I only say this because I know how bad it could be to have a negative experience on a trip that you spent a lot of money on, a lot of time on, and is probably a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I would never, ever, ever want anyone to have an experience of going to Japan and having a really, really bad situation happen to them. Whether it be some random old person or even young person, we'll get to that, come up to them and say, "Get out of here, go back home, you're gonna bring the virus with you." I hope that doesn't happen. I hope there's not a single report of that happening. But based on all of my years, based on all of my time sociologically studying Japan, living in Japan, working in Japan, studying in Japan, I could see it happening. And I could see that making headlines. I mean, I think back to Kyoto's outrage before the virus hit, you know? Kyoto was really, really angry at over-tourism. There were people taking unsolicited pictures. There were people that were being loud. There were people that were clogging up areas. There were people being disrespectful to places of actual worship. And I understood that. Kyoto was getting kind of over-touristed, if that's even the correct word to use. And now it's really interesting because I've seen all these articles, especially from people in Kyoto, who are like, "Oh, Kyoto's quiet again, it's good old Kyoto." And I also keep hearing about how there are hundreds of businesses in Kyoto going bankrupt. In fact, everything that I've seen from my good buddy Let's Ask Shogo, who lives in Kyoto, Kyoto itself is going bankrupt. I'll put a link somewhere where you can go check out his video. I don't know, maybe here or somewhere down in the description, but it's a really good watch. But it really just goes to show that Japan kind of needs the tourist money. And I do think that we need to be a bit more responsible in our behavior. We need to follow the rules. We need to follow the regulations and the norms and all of that. And at the same time, I think Japan really, really, really needs this money. But I think the one thing that worries me the most, at least when it comes to this particular point, is I'm so terrified of someone having a bad experience. I've actually been yelled at in Japan as a tourist, long after my 2-year stint living there, and it really stuck with me. And I'm sure they don't even remember at this point in time, but I do. And I would hate for someone to go through a sort of prejudiced experience like that, of having someone coming up to them out of nowhere saying, "Get out of here, you're bringing a disease, we don't want you here." So, I don't know. Again, I don't think this is everyone. I absolutely know it's not everyone. But man, it's a situation that I kind of worry about. And again, if you want to go to Japan so badly that you're willing to put up with the triple vax, the mask mandate, the multiple testings, and a really, really structured, rigid, no control, no exploration tour package, go for it. If that is worth the $3 to $6 grand that you're going to spend to do it, go for it. But if you want to go to Japan and have some control of your own exploration and have some idea of what you want to do, or heck, if you want to go and like meet people, this is not the time. I really don't think this is going to be the time to do it. Do not be like so many other people that I know are going to do and bum rush the country as soon as they open in. Don't do that. I beg you, please don't do that. Just wait. change in Japan takes a long, long time. And COVID really redefined a lot of things sociologically in Japan. It changed a lot of ideas, it changed a lot of hearts. And in order for that to go back to where it was even marginally, it's gonna need time. It's gonna need time, it's gonna need patience, it's going to need us to be really responsible, to not try to just Gaijin smash our way through their protocols. No, this is not the time for Gaijin smashing. This is the time to follow the rules, not screw it up for the rest of us, and prove that we have the capability to follow the mandates that the sovereign nation of Japan has decided that we need to do. So if you want to do that, go for it. But I'd say wait. Just hang tight. Anyway, that's all I got, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I promise the regular content's gonna be coming back. It's just June just started. At time of recording, it is June 1st. I had to get this video out. I've been feeling it in my bones for a couple months at this point, and I just had to get it out. Anyway, next time, boy oh boy, we're gonna be going back to really, really, really old folklore and history of Japan, back to the creation myth, and talk about one kami who literally saved Japan twice with her legendary booba. But until then, everyone, this is Gaijin, signing out.